Welcome to Impact Makers Radio, helping you to find jargon-free information before choosing a professional to help solve your problems and live the life you love. And here's your host, Stewart Andrew Alexander.
Hi, and welcome to another Let's Talk Retirement conversation. And during this segment of the show, ladies and gentlemen, I am so pleased to say that I have money coach Kathryn Amenta, who is the owner of Kathryn Amenta Money Coach, and she's calling in all the way from sunny San Francisco, California. But she tells me today it's absolutely teeming down with rain. But anyway, Kathryn will be talking to you today about complex emotional and financial issues. Now, that sounds like a really interesting topic, so I can't wait for Kathryn to come on and share her insights with us today. So, if you are one of the increasing numbers of individuals in the San Francisco, California area, and you feel that today's topic may be of relevance to your own personal situation, then it might be a good idea for you just to take a break, log out of Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or anything else you happen to be doing which may cause a distraction, and get ready to take some notes as we listen in to what Kathryn has to share with us today. So, with that said, let's not keep her waiting any longer. She's a very busy lady. Welcome to the show, Kathryn.
Thank you, Stewart. It's great to be here.
You are so welcome, my dear. I know how busy you are, so I'm not going to waste a moment longer. Let's just jump feet first in. However, before we do get started with all of the questions, it must be said that anything that you share with us today, Kathryn, is not legal advice or legal assistance. It's purely for the purpose of sharing general information. Now, I'd just like you just to expand on that in your own words so that everybody knows exactly what we're trying to achieve today.
I advise people on their finances, and I never make decisions for them, and I never tell them this is what you should or should not do. I think it's extremely important for people to do their research and to feel comfortable and to own their decisions.
Okay, thank you for sharing that with us then, Kathryn. So tell us a little bit about Kathryn Amenta Money Coach, your business, and the people who you serve, and the various kinds of situations that they find themselves in when they come to you for your help.
Sure, I'd love to. I started my business 28 years ago. And I have been in private practice in San Francisco ever since. I do work with clients around the country by telephone if they're not in the Bay Area. And my work is in helping people to gain an understanding of their bottom line financials. How much do you earn? How much do you spend? What do you spend it on? Are you happy with how you spend your money? Are you happy with your giving of money and saving of money? Are you living paycheck to paycheck even though you earn a fantastic salary? Are you mired in debt? Have you inherited money and haven't got a clue how to even approach it? Those are some of the issues that I work with. Couples who are fighting over money, business partners, families, issues of inheritance. All of that comes up in my work.
Okay, so now that we have an idea of who you help and how you go about doing that, when you think about those people then, Kathryn, what are some of the advantages of them addressing those complex emotional and financial issues?
Oh my gosh, the advantages are countless almost, because when people have some kind of issue with money, it's almost as if they're walking around with a dark cloud over their heads. They don't work to their full potential. They're not fully present in relationships. Maybe they're making decisions that aren't positive for their lives because they're so concerned about the dollars and cents of it. So over the years, what I have come to realize is that working with money issues can change one's whole life.
Okay, so those are the advantages. But what do you feel are some of the biggest myths out there when it comes to today's topic of complex emotional and financial issues? What are some of the biggest myths that people are buying into out there then, please, Kathryn?
Well, certainly something that I see all the time is well-educated people who feel that they should know. They should know how to handle their money. They should know where every cent they have resides. They should know how to make investment decisions or how to choose an investment advisor. And none of that is true. We're not taught about money. Most of us are not taught anything about money in our homes as children. And I can't tell you how many professionals I work with, whether they be therapists or doctors or lawyers, who say, they never taught us this in business school. I never learned a thing about running a business. I never learned how to deal with cash flow issues as well. So these are some of the biggest myths. People also are unaware that if they're dealing with these money issues, yes, there's some growth and maybe some pain, emotional pain that goes along with that. But what they will gain is an amazing peace of mind over time.
So, Kathryn, both you and I know that there's a lot of information that's readily available at the end of your fingertips. You only need to go online if you want to research any topic whatsoever. So, when it comes to managing complex emotional and financial issues, then, Kathryn, what are one or two, and I do emphasize one or two because I just know there are so many that you could share with us today. However, what are one or two common misconceptions around the financial industry?
Let me put it to you this way. If I found out that I needed to install a French drain in my driveway so that my garage did not get flooded every time it rained, would I read a book and put that French drain in myself? Absolutely not. I would call a plumber. I would call an expert. And so, yes, you're absolutely right that there's a ton of information at our fingertips, but who has the time and who wants to make that their full-time job? So I think it's really important to understand that asking for help from the right kind of professional is not a weakness. It's, in fact, a strength. And that sometimes people feel like only people who are in real financial trouble will work with me, when that is absolutely not true. Another misconception is that people fantasize that I'm going to shame them and blame them, as they do themselves. So they're projecting onto me how they feel inside about their lack of knowledge about finances. And I believe in hiring professionals.
So what are some of your clients' most common fears then, Kathryn, especially fears surrounding today's topic of complex emotional and financial issues? What holds them back? What are some of their most common fears?
Well, that they haven't saved enough for retirement. That's certainly one that I hear all the time, or they haven't saved anything for retirement. And part of that is because they truly believe that they have to get fully up to speed with all of the financial jargon, all of the products, etc., before they can work with a financial professional. And of course, that's not true at all. The shame and blame issues are huge. And almost everyone who comes into my office feels tremendous shame about what they have done with money or what they haven't done with money. Oh my gosh, I haven't saved for my kids' college. Oh my gosh, I've only got a few $1,000s set aside for retirement savings. I'm never going to make it. I'm going to have to work till I drop. And this may not be true at all. It's simply with financial issues that people feel uneducated about, they go to the worst case scenario in their minds.
So how can they actually get past those fears then, Kathryn?
I recommend that they talk about them. And that may seem counterintuitive for someone who feels shame, but I think to confide in a trusted friend or relative or someone like myself can really be the door opener. It can allow someone to breathe again instead of holding their breath. And so that's what I recommend, that people talk about their fears. They have great fears of being exposed as a dumb person or as someone who's not competent if they haven't made the best financial decisions. And it's never too late. It's never too late.
Yeah, I mean, these are some really great insights that you're sharing with us, Kathryn. But what other perceived obstacles do you see that people, or that might be preventing people out there from seeking the help of a money coach like yourself?
There could be a lot of reasons, and let me begin by saying that from my perspective, financial decisions are very seldom made based on dollars and cents. They're made based on family of origin, religion, socioeconomic status, self-esteem, other sorts of issues like that go very deep. Family money messages. I had a client some years back who was trying to get out of debt and wanted to be saving more for retirement. And she came in my office crying one day because I explained to her, you've got to pay down the debt at the same time that you're saving. We want those things to go together. And she came in and she said, my mother told me that I have no business saving any money at all as long as I have debt because I'm throwing away this money on interest. So people come in with ideas from parents, family, friends, books, TV shows, all kinds of things that really have no relevancy in the real world.
As a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, my guest today is Kathryn Amenta, money coach. That's exactly what she is. She's a money coach, and she's calling in all the way from San Francisco, California. And she's here today talking to us about a very interesting topic of complex emotional and financial issues. Now, with that in mind, Kathryn, and for those people listening in right now, what are some of the little-known pitfalls or even common mistakes that they need to consider while they're out there looking at their options to handle their money?
That is a good question. I believe that people need to evaluate their level of knowledge first and their level of comfort in talking with professionals. So something that I find frequently is because people have a lack of knowledge about financial planning, they feel reticent to go and talk with a financial planner because they don't even know the questions to ask. So one of the things that I do with my clients is talk with them about those kinds of issues and how to find a financial planner when they're ready for it, who they connect with, who they're not afraid to ask what they perceive to be as a dumb question, who's not going to shame them when they ask these questions, but someone who's going to be knowledgeable and sensitive to people.
So how can those pitfalls be avoided then? How can they avoid those mistakes, Kathryn?
Well, I believe that feeling to some extent comfortable with one's basic financial knowledge is essential. So, for example, if I want to have a retirement analysis done, that's my language for it. You go see your financial planner, you say, this is how much I want to spend each year in retirement. This is how long I expect to live based on actuarial numbers, et cetera. And how much do I need to be putting aside? Am I putting enough aside? And in order to do that, people need to have an understanding of what they're spending and what they're saving and how their debting behavior might be affecting their ability to be successful in their goals.
Okay, Kathryn, thanks for sharing that. Again, you're sharing such great insights today, so we're really thankful for that. I'd just like you just to take a moment right now, Kathryn, and think back to all of the people who you've helped throughout your career. Now, I know that's many people. There's a whole host of people. However, when you think back to how you have helped them to achieve their desired goals, that transformation they were looking for, because essentially you're a transformationalist. You take people from point A to point B. So when you think about all of those people on a deep down personal level, Kathryn, what does that give you? What do you get from it? How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel fantastic. I love my work. It is exactly the right work for me. And I can't see myself doing anything else. So
what inspired you then to become a money coach? The path is never straight. I've interviewed hundreds of professionals, and whenever I ask this question, it's never a straight line. There's always something that happened along the way that inspired them to become who they are today. So what's your story then? What inspired you to follow that winding path to becoming a money coach today then, Kathryn?
It certainly has been a winding path. No, I didn't wake up one day as a child and say, I want to grow up and be a money coach. But I studied psychology. I have a degree in psychology. I have a degree in finance. When I went to work after college, I became what in those days was called a stockbroker. Now they're called investment advisors. And then I was an options trader. And while I was busy doing those jobs, I was running my finances into the ground. So here I was giving other people investment advice, and it was in an environment that really created a lot of pressure to be a successful individual. So in other words, who wants to invest their money with someone who looks like a schlep and drives a 25-year-old car? I had to have Prada shoes. And that, unfortunately, was a very slippery slope. I realized that I'm terrible with credit cards. I couldn't manage my debt. I found myself on the verge of bankruptcy at one point and really didn't know what to do next. And this is over a period of years. It didn't happen overnight, certainly. And I felt entitled to really nice things. So when I was on the verge of bankruptcy, a friend of mine who's a PhD psychologist said, I've learned that money decisions really aren't about money. They're about everything else. And until you deal with those underlying emotional issues, you're never going to change your relationship to money. And that made such sense to me. I really grasped onto that idea like someone drowning would grab a life preserver. I worked with someone who was in this industry for a couple of years and completely turned my life around. Suddenly I had no debt, and I had the kinds of insurances that I needed, and so on and so forth. I was living within my means. And I tell my clients that there's no need for them to feel embarrassed about what they've done with money, because any rotten thing you can think of that someone would do with money, I've done it. I have done it. I have lived it. I have suffered for it. I have recovered from it. And I practice what I preach every day. So that's how I came to this.
Right. And thanks for sharing that with us, Kathryn. So with that said, can you share a lesson that you learned earlier on that still impacts how you do business today?
Yes. I'll give you two of them. The first one is the people who are successful are the people who show up. Showing up is half of life. And so there's a lot of people feel that when they're talking about money, they're getting naked in front of me. they're telling me things that they haven't told anyone else. And maybe they'd just as soon jump in bed with a stranger before telling them anything about their finances. So it's easy for people to run away from this, but showing up is essential. The second point is that I will work as hard as my clients on their financial situations, but I will not work harder than them. So I don't feel that for me to try to drag people along or to convince them of the importance of learning these skills is my job. If someone wants to come to me, if you said, hey, I have a friend, I know that he's really suffering with financial stuff, why don't you give him a call? I would say, no, you may ask him to call me, because people have to want to change. They have to want to live and be able to envision a different kind of life for themselves. So, and that is, that takes time, energy, and money.
That is so true. You really do have to have that burning desire yourself to make changes. You just kind of touched on some personal things for myself, and where I've came from. I've had some challenges in my past, and it wasn't until I actually, it got so bad that I had no choice. I had to do something about it. And, that created a natural burning desire for change. But without that desire, then nothing's going to happen. So I totally concur with what you're saying there, Katherine. Thank you so much for that. So again, thinking about those people that are out there, what's the most important question they should ask themselves as they consider the complexities surrounding their emotional and financial issues?
I believe the question is, are you ready to invest your time, energy, and money for financial clarity and peace of mind? This work creates transformative change for people. As I mentioned earlier, when people deal with the financial issues in their lives, it tends to carry over to every other aspect of their lives as well. And are you ready is such an important one. Are you feeling enough pain that you're ready to not feel this pain anymore?
So, Katherine, before we close out with our last question for today, what's the most important thing people out there should consider when evaluating a money coach?
One would be how that individual charges for their services, and do they sell any products? So, for example, not to knock my colleagues, certified financial planners, they have a different skill set than I do, and they don't really want to deal, in fact, they don't at all want to deal with the emotional aspects of money. So if someone goes to a financial planner, the planner will help them to create a basic budget, and then we'll do some kind of analysis for them around how much they need to invest, et cetera, to meet their goals. And that is all a lost leader in getting business in, so that they can then, the professional can then charge for a percentage of assets under management. So it's really important to know how your prospective professional charges. Are they on an hourly fee basis only? Are they selling products? Do they sell specific products of a specific company? Do they have my best interest at heart? What's the main objective of the professional? Does the person feel that they're comfortable enough with that professional to be able to, as I said before, ask the dumbest of questions, a question they might think is really dumb, and have the professional answer it in a professional manner without shame and blame? So I'm terrible on computers, and I had an IT person who, after some time, would kind of yell at me on the phone, or, what's the problem? I taught you how to do this before, and so forth. Well, I don't work with him anymore.
Right. Naturally, yeah.
I always felt horrible when I hung up from those phone calls. And so uh, people also, when they're looking for a financial professional, again, they need to know what it is they're trying to achieve. So if they want to first gain foundational understandings of their finances, they would come to someone like myself, a money coach. Then, when they're ready to begin looking at investments, and it can happen certainly simultaneously because depending on age, people need to get moving on retirement savings. Then they're ready. They have the information they need to go to that person and feel more a higher skill level.
So, Kathryn, if someone feels they need to take the next steps towards addressing their complex emotional and financial issues, how can they find you? What's the easiest way?
I would say my website, and that is, of course, www.kathrynamenta.com. So it's KathrynAmenta.com. And I do work with clients all over the country.
Okay, Kathryn. So if somebody goes to your website, how are they going to get in touch with you? Is there a contact form? Is there a website?
Yes, there is. There is a contact form there, and it can also help them to determine whether I am the right kind of financial professional for them.
Okay, so let's say they fill out the contact form. Because what I'm trying to achieve here, Kathryn, is just to address any reservations somebody may have about actually reaching out to you. So far, you've shared a lot of great content today, and we're really grateful for that. However, you know, people have different reference points, and they may still have some reservations about getting in touch with you. So please share with them then, once they fill out that contact form and hit submit, what are the next steps? What's going to happen? Let's just make sure that people out there know they're not going to be hard sold, hit over the head, dragged to the back of the office and you know, mistreated. So please go ahead. Gosh. Explain okay. your next step processes. Yeah, people think all kinds of things, you know, so go ahead, please.
I know they do. And I don't mean to laugh at anyone who's shaking in their shoes. But it is the way you're absolutely right. It's such a hot button topic, finances, that people have a lot of fear. And so if you go to my website and you fill out the little contact sheet, it'll give me your email address, your phone number. You have space to write a little message to me. That comes to my email, which of course I look at every day. And then I will call them to try to set up a phone time when it's convenient for both of us to talk. Obviously, sometimes people are right in the middle of their offices and can't talk, so I am available in the evening as well. And I want to spend some time with them, maybe a half hour, talking about what's going on in their lives, if the way I work, if my ideology is a good fit for them. And if so, then we can go forward and make another appointment. That first half hour or so could be 20 minutes, could be 45 minutes. There's no fee for that. Of course, you can just contact me and we'll chat. You can tell me what's going on in your life, and I can tell you whether I'm the professional who can best assist you.
Okay, so absolutely no risk for them to make that initial contact with you then?
None. And in fact, sometimes at the end of that first conversation, someone will say, okay, let's make an appointment. And I will say, no, it's a big decision. Why don't you sleep on it for a few days and let's talk beginning of next week or something. I really want people to take this work seriously. It's not a one and done. It's ongoing work. And so people need to determine whether they feel that they are ready to take on a commitment of working on their finances on a regular basis.
Fantastic. Thank you for explaining what those next step processes are, Kathryn. That's going to be really helpful for the listeners out there. Now, unfortunately, we are out of time. We've come to the end of the show. The time has just flown so fast, Kathryn. My goodness, I feel like we're just warming up, right? We're just starting to get warmed up when it's time to go.
Well, as I say, I can talk about this all day long. So
absolutely. It's such a big topic, and we can have you back on the show again at some other stage to speak on another specific topic. If you'd be open to that, we would certainly love to have you back again.
Thank you, and thank you so much for having me on the show.
You are so welcome, my dear. So let me just remind everybody out there, we have been listening to Kathryn Amenta. She is a money coach. I think she's made that very clear today. She's a money coach, and I just want to thank her so much. Thank you so much, Kathryn, for sharing so generously with us today. You have certainly demonstrated that you are a true educator, an advocate, and trustworthy advisor for your clients' success. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
You are so welcome, my dear. And I'd also just like to take a quick time out just to say a big thank you to you. Yes, if you're out there in the San Francisco, California area and you've been listening into the show today, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day. Your time is just as valuable as our time, so we really appreciate you taking the time to tune in today. Without you, we wouldn't have anybody to listen to, and we'd just be sitting here twiddling our little thumbs. So thank you so much for joining us on what I can only describe as a insightful and informative conversation. Kathryn has said lots of great content that's going to be relevant today, tomorrow, next year, 5 years, 10 years from now. So thank you for joining us on this conversation with money coach Kathryn Amenta, and she's all the way from sunny San Francisco in California. Make sure you do check her out. She's got some good resources on her website. If you do decide to get in touch with her, I am sure that after listening to Kathryn today, that you're going to be in a great place to start addressing your current situation. So that's it, folks. Again, my name is Stewart Andrew Alexander, and we'll be back shortly with some more leading finance professionals in this, our series of Let's Talk Retirement Conversations. So, until then, take care, have a great day, and we'll talk real soon.
Thank you for tuning in to Impact Makers Radio. To listen to all past, present, and future industry thought leaders and trendsetters, visit us at impactmakersradio.com.